Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are watching the Paris Fintech Forum Communities video interview series. I'm Elliott Gotkine, and today I'm joined by the co-founder and CEO of eToro, Yoni Assia. Great to have you with us again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Always great to see you. You don't seem to age over all these years. Anyway, look, before we get cracking, Yoni, we are first going to learn a little bit more about eToro. So, Yoni, look, you and I have spoken a number of times, including with the Paris Fintech Forum, about your social investing platform, eToro, of course. But this is the first time I think we've spoken since your IPO in May 2025. How did it feel to get that over the line, and what has changed, if anything, since?
So, as you know, we started eToro 18 years ago with a vision of opening the global markets for everyone to trade and invest in a simpler and transparent way. So I've always been passionate about capital markets since I was very young. And I'd say it's one of my proudest moments in life to stand in NASDAQ together with my co-founder, my brother, together with my father on the NASDAQ podium. By the way, a first ever for a father to list his company 30 years ago, and now for his sons to list the company on NASDAQ. So a very, very proud moment where now eToro customers can trade eToro shares on the eToro platform. So it's been quite a journey to become public. We've always believed in the future of I'd say, the next milestone of growth in the public markets. We believe being a public company enables us to foster and build more trustable relationships with a lot of our customers. We have about 3.8 million funded accounts with about $20 billion today on eToro. And as our customers also mature, we see them increasing the share of wallet. And we know that as a public company, it's easier for them to trust us with a more significant part of their finance. Also, as we grow our business from trading originally to investing to now savings, for example, in the UK with our ISA products and our recent cash ISA product to the superannuation. In Australia, being public builds that cadence of growth and trust in all of the markets we operate in.
So I wanted to ask you about that, of course, because I know that now you're publicly traded. One of the downsides, of course, is that you can't kind of tell me things as perhaps as liberally as you might have done. But what is the plan for growth of the company? You mentioned ISAs in the UK, for example, and other savings products. What is the main engine of growth going to be for eToro going forward?
So we always look at the four main product pillars of growth. So we are a product-first company, now very much, by the way, focused on AI products across the four different pillars of products, from our trading, where we started, from our active traders across today stocks from 25 different capital markets, almost 200 different crypto assets, derivatives across commodities, indices, currencies, listed derivatives like options and futures, which were rolled out in 2025, to, of course, our flagship and unique product of Copy Trader, which we view as a long-term investment product in our smart portfolios. We have today 4,000 popular investors in the eToro Pro Investor program, where we actually train our best investors, really brilliant minds, to become certified professional investors. I just met a lot of them in our annual Pro Investor Summit. And of course, our smart portfolios, which continue to become more and more advanced. We actually launched this year alpha portfolios, so actually long, short, quantitative trading strategies that are powered by AI. So we've expanded significantly from trading to investing, expanded to savings product this year in Australia, in the UK, and in France, which is long-term savings, pension, or tax wrappers in different markets, and also launched our eToro Money debit card with a partnership with Visa. So everything from trading, investing, savings, and spending you can do today on the eToro platform, building basically a financial super app where our customers can, of course, focus on what we believe is the most important thing with money, which is learning how to invest it across all of the products and all of the markets, but also to manage their savings and their spending with us.
It sounds like you're becoming kind of more, I don't know, mainstream, I guess, compared with the early days of eToro. But I mean, historically, at least, you've had quite a big chunk of your revenue coming from crypto. Is that still the case? And are you now kind of, rebalancing that so it's kind of less of an important share, and therefore your revenues and profits going to be less volatile?
First of all, we're very bullish on crypto. We've been very early to Bitcoin. We started buying Bitcoin in
I know
eToro.
you did, Yoni. I think you bought it for what, like $50 or less or something back in the
Even
day?
five, we bought it for eToro at $5 and
Right.
$10 and $15, and then launched Bitcoin on the eToro platform as the first regulated financial platform in 2013, and saw the various cycles. I'd say this is the fourth cycle or super cycle we're seeing in crypto. So we remain bullish on crypto, on Bitcoin, on blockchain, and of course on the convergence between crypto markets and capital markets. So crypto is always somewhere between, I'd say, 20 to 40% of revenues, really depending on how much activity do we see in crypto. Usually when crypto reaches all-time high, we see much higher engagement of our crypto traders on the platform. And what we're seeing right now is a huge shift in sentiment. And again, we've seen it from, I'd say, every cycle of 4 years towards basically becoming really mainstream. And even more than just crypto becoming mainstream, I'd say blockchain technology is becoming a narrative where the entire financial markets, from the US SEC chair saying capital markets are moving on chain. Again, by far the fastest pivot I've seen of an administration doing towards the technology, to right now just returned from Abu Dhabi as well, where you're seeing a lot of governments very focused on the future of finance through
Well,
tokenization and digital assets.
I want to come back to that a little bit later when we talk about the future of finance in more detail, Yoni. Just finally, regarding eToro, of course, Robinhood, much larger player in your space. It's been getting into things like prediction markets for everything from elections to what some would call sports betting. Did I see correctly? eToro is also planning to get into prediction markets in 2026?
So we are looking to expand our on-chain activities in that space. So we have today our crypto wallet, so people can actually deposit crypto into eToro or withdraw their crypto into eToro. And we're launching now a non-custodial wallet, which basically means you can use anything that's Web3 or DeFi on the non-custodial wallet. And we've been talking to the prediction markets to see how we can integrate that into an experience, so people who actually understand how to operate on chain will be able to actually use prediction markets as well.
Okay, well, something to look forward to later in 2026, perhaps. But look, we've heard about eToro now, but now we are going to learn a little bit more about Yoni. So, Yoni, it's been so long since we last spoke. I think our viewers may need reminding about one or two things that you did before co-founding eToro, because, just as in financial markets, there are often ups and downs for entrepreneurs. Maybe you can tell us about one of your earlier incarnations.
Sure. So actually, my first startup was CD Ride, which we actually installed cameras on roller coasters to capture the entire video of the ride. I joined that as a co-founder and the head of development when I was 21, just after my army service, together with some veterans from my unit. And it was quite a roller coaster ride. We actually ended up doing a reverse merger with an OTC listed company to eventually selling that company to Kodak, who was then the largest operator of basically when you go down from a roller coaster and you buy a picture, that was all operated by Kodak. So I'd say the only similar thing between eToro and my first startup is crypto markets and capital markets are definitely a roller coaster as well.
Right, of course. So, I mean, technically, one could argue that perhaps eToro wasn't your first IPO if your first company kind of went into an OTC shell or something.
Very, very different experience. Reversing merger with sort of microcap, then IPOing eToro at $5 billion. And
Right.
a really, truly an amazing experience for somebody who's passionate about capital markets, meeting investment managers throughout the IPO, the week of the roadshow. We met 180 investors that manage over $35 trillion. So it's quite amazing to see how IPOs work and to understand also the depth of US capital markets.
And I suppose no one knows the depth of US capital markets better than Warren Buffett, of course, of Berkshire Hathaway. If I'm right in thinking, you once told me you had dinner, you kind of won, or someone gave you the kind of annual or made the donation so that you could have the annual, be part of the annual steak dinner, I think it is, with the Oracle of Omaha. What for you was the most important piece of financial advice or anecdote that he shared with you?
So Justin Sun, the founder of Tron, was kind enough to invite me after he donated to the Warren Buffett dinner, and we joined to dinner actually to try and talk to him about blockchain and Bitcoin. What for me was truly inspiring and amazing during the dinner, and I've read a lot of his books and I've heard him talk before, is sort of only when I met him in person, sort of it came to realization how his clarity about sort of the simplicity of investing and the value of investing in the stock markets. So while we came there to convince him about Bitcoin, actually came out of there, called a friend of mine who actually used to work a bit with Berkshire, told him join eToro, and he's in eToro for the past 4 years to build our value investor club. And I'd say that my aha moment was that the pro investors on eToro, some of them with track record of like 12 years on eToro, of 25% returns on average for the past 12 years, is how powerful is that sort of long-term track record on eToro and how much that compounds over time. So for me, it was like really doubling down on exactly my vision for eToro of enabling smart investors to connect to one another and for retail investors to be able to copy them.
Right. Well, maybe one day in the future, people will be paying $1 million or whatever it is to have a steak dinner with you, Yoni, to get your take. But look, just finally on this bit, I mean, I know family is clearly important to you. I mean, you founded eToro with your brother. You talked about ringing the bell with your brother and your father. I often see you posting pictures with your beautiful family as well, which includes 5 young children. How does family help you make eToro a success?
Well, I think family is an important pillar in every person's life. Within that roller coaster of being an entrepreneur and being a CEO, a big part of that is things get tough. And when things get tough and you go home and you spend time with your family, I think that sort of brings, at least to me, a lot of energy. And that energy is what always drives me to be a better father, a better husband, a better CEO as well, and also understanding that value to a lot of the eTorians. So I do believe that's important, not only for myself, but for eTorians. And I think, it's a significant part of life, probably the most important part of life. And they were with me, ringing the bell as well, my wife and my 5 kids.
Oh, wow. Sounds like standing room only. Well, obviously, it's always standing room only there, but sounds like it would have been a bit crowded up there. But look, Yoni, a key part of this interview is to get your take on the future of finance. But first, we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with the co-founder and CEO of eToro, Yoni Assia. Welcome back. And don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. Okay, so now, Yoni, let's talk about the future of finance. So, Yoni, we mentioned your IPO earlier, which took place earlier in 2025. Other fintechs like Klarna also went public after, perhaps trying on previous occasions as well. How would you characterize the markets for IPOs in general right now and fintechs in particular?
So I think 2025 was definitely the comeback of fintech IPOs. Actually, very proud to be the first fintech IPO in 2025 after a long pause since 2021. So when we were through the process of going public, we had the unpleasant surprise of the tariffs day, the liberation day of Trump, where the markets tanked by 20-30%. My bankers came to us and told me, Yoni, there are no public markets right now. There are no IPO markets right now. You'll just have to wait and see. So great things happened then. One is I had the time to a bit sit down and have quiet with myself. So I started vibe coding, which eventually led to a lot of product innovation in eToro. But other than that, I called Goldman at one point and I said, listen, I'm coming to New York. I'm taking eToro public. The market's going to recover. This is just like COVID. I want to meet investors now. And they were like, Yoni, there are no IPO markets when the VIX, right? The VIX is the fear index or the volatility index of the market. And there's like this general rule. You can't go public when the VIX is over 20. The VIX was 50. I arrived in New York. We started doing meetings. And they told me, listen, you can do the meetings, but you should know public markets have windows. And right now, that window is closed. Klarna and I think it's StubHub were actually supposed to go public before us. And nobody knew sort of the impact of Liberation Day of tariffs. For us, it's obviously a positive thing for the business volatility. And through that, actually, we were the first fintech company to go public since 2021, the first Israeli company to go public since 2021, the first company to go public after tariffs. So we took sort of a brave step forward and said we're going at it. And I have a lot of thanks to say to the investors, to the bankers around it, but it was quite an interesting journey between April and May.
Well, I'm sure everyone appreciates you taking one for the team there, and I think you had like a 30% pop on the day of the IPO, although things have come down a little bit since then. But look, the other big theme, of course, this year, aside from these the tariffs, is the eye-watering amounts of money being invested into AI stocks and vast sums being spent on AI data centers and the like. Is this all going to end in tears? I mean, hopefully it won't end in tears before this interview comes out, but is it all going to end in tears? And if so, what's your prediction?
So again, in the medium and long term, I will always believe in capital markets and the stock markets, in great companies, and in crypto markets. Whether I can, evaluate now whether we're going to see a strong correction in some inflated valuations that we see in the market. The market tends to correct itself, like a correction we're seeing right now in crypto. Are Will we see it in AI in 2026? We might. Is the trend of AI a real trend? It's not a trend. It is the most, I'd say that, there's two very, very large transformations happening right now. We're just in sort of the eye of the storm. AI is completely changing how companies are being run, how software is being written, how fast you can build things, and the pace of change is mind-boggling in AI. Like every day, seriously, every day, I sit on X and I go into new companies that I find out, and I'm sending them to my team, and I'm opening accounts, and I'm testing it, and I'm mind blown from the pace of innovation in AI and how much faster you can run with a company, with your company, as you do that change management to make sure that everybody in eToro use AI, from everywhere from the lawyers to the accountants to the software developers to the marketeers, because every one single person can suddenly be 20 people or 50 people or 100 people in their capacity. So it's a very big trend. And the other one, of course, is digital assets, which we're a part of for a very long period of time.
Right. Well, I want to ask you, not just about digital assets, but about blockchain in general, as being a part of the future of finance. You've talked about how bullish you are and how you're just seeing a crazy pace of change in terms of mainstream financial institutions kind of adopting this technology. What are your expectations for the short term and perhaps the long term there?
I have to say that, the same way that I've been mind blown over the past 12 to 24 months from AI, the sudden pace of, I'd say, regulatory landscape and adoption of blockchain technology in capital markets is also running at paces that I've never seen before. And it comes from a tone of the top from the US, since Trump got elected and then Paul Atkins became chair and Carolyn, now CFTC chair. There's a very clear tone of the top in the US, which is capital markets are moving on chain and they want to see innovation leading, and they want to see the US as the capital of crypto markets and digital assets. And suddenly, just in the last 2 weeks, NASDAQ said they're moving to 23.5. We launched a couple of months ago 24.5 trading. I didn't see that coming so fast. And people are already trading now 24/7, which didn't exist just 6 to 12 months ago. 24/7 stock trading. So a lot of this is driven by a tone of the top saying, we want to be number one. And by the way, Abu Dhabi is saying it as well. But the US are the largest capital markets in the world, and they're very clear about moving capital markets on chain.
And they've also stolen a march really with USD, US dollar denominated stablecoins. Is this going to make the greenback, the US currency in whatever form it takes, even more dominant, or will there be some kind of reversion to the mean with euro, yen, even shekels and other stable coins kind of regaining or maintaining their kind of global share of currencies?
I think the genie that went out of the bottle is that if you look at the stable coins, which are about $300 billion, they're one of the top 10 treasury holders in the world, right? So, and what is a treasury holder? A treasury holder are who are financing the debt in the US. So if the rise of stablecoins continue at this pace, it might be that retail investors globally are funding U.S. government debt, which is mind blowing because historically it's not even about financial institutions; it's central banks across the globe that have been financing U.S. debt, and they're being replaced by retail investors. 400 retail investors across the globe that own USDT and USDC and other stablecoins. And I think what that it opened up sort of the understanding in US capital markets, which is if we open this technology through blockchain technology and create access directly to retail investors from across the globe, if they're buying stable coins who to some extent are not even giving interest rate, right? So you're just buying a USDT or USDC, it's not a given interest rate. So Apollo and Blackstone are looking at that and saying, hey, we're giving a dollar plus 12%, right? That's what a private a credit or a private equity company expects to do. So why can't we raise maybe 50 or 100 or 200 billion dollars to our own private equity funds, our credit funds or VC funds through basically that transformation of technology through digital assets? So I think what's happening is retail adoption is just driving this very fast.
Right, Yoni, just briefly for this session, 'cause I want to get to our next round. Your eToro is based in Israel. Of course, last couple of years have obviously not been easy. Has there been any impact against Israeli-based but US-listed stocks, or perhaps the Israeli startup ecosystem as a result of the war in Gaza? Has funding from overseas, dried up to any extent, or has it just maintained the same pace? What's the situation?
So eToro is a very global company. I'm here in our European headquarters in Cyprus. As you know, we have our large offices in New York, in London, in Australia, regulated across all continents, including now Singapore, as well in Abu Dhabi. So we've always looked at our global resilience as a company, and I think as friends with many other Israeli founders and CEOs. I think the tech industry generally is very resilient. It's very global by nature with global customers. And of course, everybody is very hopeful for more peaceful times now in 2026. And we hope the same to our colleagues in the Ukraine, of course.
All right. Well, time now, Yoni, for our round of rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, great. I've got 90 seconds on the clock. One word answers is all I'm looking for. I'm going to start the clock. When the alarm goes off, we will stop. Okay. What fintech segment, in your point of view, has the biggest potential over the next 5 years?
Retail investing.
What is the biggest pain point in your everyday financial life that you would like to see resolved?
Taxes.
Are bank bosses ready for the AI revolution?
No.
Are customers ready for the AI revolution?
Yes.
Do you think that regulators in the EU and US have kept pace with all the new possibilities and behaviors we're seeing in the financial industry?
Getting there.
Have you personally ever invested in crypto? Silly question, really. I think we know the answer to that
Yes.
one. Are physical points of sales part of the future of finance?
Yes.
Are bank branches part of the future of finance?
No.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest, 10 the highest, and therefore the most likely, how would you rate the chances of the following happening in the next 10 years? That one of the neobanks will be as profitable as a top-tier legacy bank, between 1 and 10?
And
CBDCs will become a
10.
mainstream reality in America and the EU?
10.
That you'll be able to open a crypto account at a top-tier bank?
10.
That SWIFT will still be the main tool for transferring money around the world?
2.
That a new card or non-card-based rival will emerge to challenge Visa, MasterCard?
6.
And that we'll see a top-tier bank or insurer bought by a fintech?
8.
Wow, Yoni, the alarm. There it goes. I think it's very rare. Only 1 or 2 other people have managed to get through all of those questions. So thank you for being so concise with your answers. So that's it for the rapid fire round of questions. And that's it for our conversation, unfortunately. So it just gives me time to thank you, Yoni Assia, co-founder and CEO of eToro, for joining me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elliott, and looking forward to seeing you soon in person.
Likewise, we'll have to coordinate on our on what we're wearing next time. But look, for everyone watching, we are going to be back again next time with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll be able to join us again then. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the Paris Fintech Forum YouTube channel and to follow us on X at Paris Fin Forum. That's all for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.